We all know CEOs make a lot of money. They've climbed the company ladder to get the fancy office and dedicated parking spot, or in some cases, their parents have handed the position over to them. That being said, being the CEO of the world's biggest company doesn't necessarily mean you're the highest paid. Jeff Bezos is known by many as the world's richest man, but his base salary as a CEO is only $81,840 a year. Today, we're going to take a look at the world's highest paid CEOs, some of whom you've never heard of, and some may even surprise you. So let's take a look at their climb to the top and how much money these CEOs earn. Number 10. Shantanu Narayan. If you work in any creative field, chances are you're contributing to this man's salary every time you open the software in your computer. Shantanu Narayan is the current CEO of Adobe, and in 2019, his total CEO compensation was $39.1 million. Adobe makes an annual revenue of $11.2 billion, and the average employee salary is only $147,115, which means Narayan makes 266 times the average employee pay. So how did he come to make so much money? Shantanu grew up in India. After school, he went on to university and earned a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering. After he had earned his degree, he packed his bags and moved to the U.S. to receive his MBA from the University of California. Shantanu quickly got started on his career, and man, did he hit it out of the park right away. His first big job was at Apple, and then he moved on to work for Silicon Graphics as a director of desktop. In 1998, he accepted a job at Adobe as a senior vice president of worldwide product research. His hard work in this role definitely paid off, as in 2007 he was promoted to CEO. Under his guidance, Adobe rose to become a Fortune 400 company and has had an increase in revenue every year since his promotion. Unfortunately, there's not many details about Shantanu and his family, as he prefers to keep out of the spotlight. Number 9. Bill McDermott. Bill McDermott is the CEO of the software company ServiceNow. Bill's annual salary as a CEO is a whopping $41.7 million, compared to the average employee salary of $223,000. You might be thinking, how does ServiceNow afford salaries at that level? Well, on average, they make a total of $3.5 billion. Back to Bill. He got his first taste of the business world at the age of 16 when he made his first investment. Bill bought his very own delicatessen in Long Island. The deli only cost him $7,000, and it was a huge influence on his life. After his investment, he studied business at Dowling College, and while he was there, he continued to run the deli, using that money to pay off his schooling. He then went on to study management at Northwestern. Once Bill had finished school, he was on the hunt for bigger and better jobs. He eventually landed at Xerox, where he stayed for 17 years. He ended up as the executive vice president for Siebel Systems in 2002. He was then appointed as the CEO of SAP America, a software company based in Germany. By 2014, he moved on to become the CEO of the entire SAP company, becoming the very first American to do so. Bill was extremely successful at SAP, increasing the market value from $39 billion to $159 billion. Bill ended up getting a little bored of working at SAP and became the CEO of ServiceNow. I wonder if he was just bored of SAP or if the switch had something to do with that impressive salary at ServiceNow. Number 8. Lachlan Murdoch. So far, all the CEOs on our list have been self-made, but that ends now. Lachlan Murdoch is the current CEO of Fox Corporation, all thanks to his super rich daddy. Lachlan gets an annual salary of $42.1 million, and the annual revenue Fox makes is $11.4 billion. We mentioned before that Lachlan can thank his dad for the CEO role, and who might his dad be? Rupert Murdoch. Lachlan spent his childhood between New York and his school in Aspen. After school, he went on to attend Princeton, where he earned a bachelor's degree in philosophy. When Lachlan was 18, his father flew him to Australia and trained him at the Daily Mirror, an Australian newspaper. By the time he was 22, he became the general manager of Queensland newspaper, and just like his father, he became the publisher of the Australia's first national newspaper. In 1995, he was appointed deputy CEO of News Limited. Only a year later, in 1996, he became executive director. In 2000, he became Deputy Chief Operating Officer. Then he went on to become Executive Vice President and then Chairman. In his role as VP, he was influenced by a friend to invest in OneTel. Unfortunately, the investment was doomed to fail and was criticized highly by his workers. The company ended up failing, and Murdoch had agreed to a $40 million settlement. In 2005, shortly after this, he abruptly stepped down from his role and founded the private investment company known as Illyria Propriety Ltd., which invested in dozens of companies, including Nova Entertainment. In 2014, he returned to the family business, becoming the co-chairman of News Corporation. His role there only lasted a year before he took on an even bigger role, the executive chairman of 21st Century Fox. And when Fox was bought out by Disney in 2019, he was named that CEO of Fox Corporation, where he remains to this day. Number 7. Satya Nadella. Microsoft is a company you've probably heard of, but you may not have heard of Satya Nadella, the current CEO. In 2019, it was reported that his annual salary was $42.9 million, while the average employee salary at Microsoft was only $172,520. Satya is another CEO on our list born in India. He went to Manipal Institute of Technology, where he received a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. He then made the leap to the United States, where he went to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He started his career at Sun Microsystems, then joined Microsoft in 1992. His role at Microsoft was important. He led major projects, mainly the big move to cloud computing. Under Satya's management, the cloud revenue grew from $16.5 billion to $20.3 billion. He then went on to serve as the Senior Vice President of Research and Development for the Online Service Division. Later, he became the president of Microsoft Server and Tools Business. In 2014, he made the big leap to CEO, the third in the company's history. At the time, his salary was only $700,000. Boy, he must have worked hard to change $700,000 into $42 million. Number 6. Miguel Patricio. Perhaps the most secretive CEO on our list is Miguel Patricio, the CEO of the best baked bean company, Kraft Heinz. He received a staggering $43.3 million in 2016, while the average employee's salary was only $42,689, making his compensation over 1,000 times higher. Miguel was born in Portugal, but moved to Brazil to get a business degree from a university in Sao Paulo. Miguel cycled through a ton of companies during his career, including Philip Morris, Coca-Cola, and Johnson & Johnson, working in exclusively executive roles. He later moved on to Anheuser-Busch for 2 decades, where he eventually became the chief marketing officer and served in that role for 6 years. After that, he moved on to Kraft Heinz as CEO, where he currently resides and makes some pretty good money. Number 5. David Zaslav. We all know TV is a huge moneymaker, but surprisingly, David Zaslav is the only person in the industry on this list. As the CEO of Discovery, his 2019 CEO salary was $45.8 million, a $2 million leap from Miguel Patricio. David was born in New York and attended Boston University School of Law. Surprisingly, he worked as an attorney for a short time before switching paths and working for NBC Universal for 20 years. His main role was as the president of cable and domestic television, where he oversaw content distribution. This included controlling channels like Bravo, the Weather Channel, USA Network, and the History Channel. He then made the move to Discovery as their CEO in January 2007, and the company began trading as a public company for the first time. Just a year later, his role as CEO had indeed made an impact on Discovery. He helped begin a 12-year relationship with the PGA Tour, earning the live rights to all their content, and that's a lot of content, over 2,000 hours per year. During his role, they've aired some of the most well-known and best-received programs, such as Planet Earth and Frozen Planet. Basically, a lot of planet-related content. He also launched Investigation Discovery, which was one of the faster-growing cable networks in the United States, mainly to anyone who likes murder mysteries. Number 4. John C. Plant. The oldest CEO on our list is John C. Plant. He has been in the business for a while, and he serves as the CEO of Howmet Aerospace, where he makes a good chunk of change. His 2019 compensation was $51.7 million compared to the average employee of $55,497. He worked in automotive industries and leadership roles for years and years. He was the president of Lucas Variety Automotive, a UK-based automotive parts company. When Lucas Verdi was acquired by TRW Automotive, John became the chairman. He was successful at TRW for years. Under his leadership, TRW employed more than 65,000 people in over 190 facilities. TFW was then acquired by CF Frederick Schufen, and you may have been seeing a pattern here. After TRW was out, John became the CEO of yet another company, Archronic Incorporated. He then moved on to Howmet Aerospace, which manufactures jet engines and other aerospace components. Number 3. Lisa Su. The first woman on the list, Lisa Su has made her way in a tough industry and worked hard to rise through the ranks. She is the current CEO of Advanced Micro Devices, which is a company you've probably never heard of, but you probably use their products every day. In 2019, her CEO salary was $58.5 million, compared to the average employee salary of $96,874. Lisa was born in Taiwan and immigrated to the United States at the age of 3. At such a young age, she was interested in math and technology, and her parents fostered her learning. At 10 years old, she frequently took apart her brother's radio-controlled cars and put them back together again. She then went on to study at MIT, deciding on electrical engineering because she believed it to be the hardest engineering course. Lisa earned her master's and her PhD in her first job and was part of the technical staff at Texas Instruments. She then moved on to IBM, where she served as a vice president of their Semiconductor Research and Development Center, which is about as exciting as it sounds. There she played a vital role in changing and developing new materials to be used in semiconductor chips. Her work didn't go unnoticed. She became the technical assistant to IBM's CEO, then became the director of emerging products. After a few more job hops, she became the general manager of Advanced Micro Devices, a semiconductor company that develops computer processors. She became the CEO. She encouraged the company to diversify. Lisa started as CEO, only 10% of the company's sales came from non-PC markets. By 2015, 40% came from non-PC markets, primarily the video game industry. Number 2, Bob Swan. If you want to see someone who's worked in about every role there is, Bob Swan is your guy. He's the current CEO of Intel, and in 2019, his salary was startling $66.9 million compared to the average employee salary of $96,300. Bob has taken on more roles than anyone I know. He worked at General Electric in dozens of senior finance roles over a 15-year period. He became the CEO of GE Transportation Systems, then the vice president of GE Medical Systems in Europe. After that, he was a VP of Finance and then the CFO of GE Lighting. Finally, he was ready to make a move on from GE. He then became the CFO of Webvan until the company went under. Even after that, he managed to move on to Northrop Grumman as their CFO. After that, he was the CFO of HP Enterprises Services and the CFO of eBay. So basically, he's gotten around in a few different industries. He eventually went on to become the CEO of Intel in 2018. Number 1, Sundar Pichai. The highest paid CEO in the world, Sundar Pichai had a startling 2019 salary of $280.6 million, more than 4 times the amount of the runner-up. The average employee's salary at Alphabet is $258,780 a year, the highest amount on our list. Sundar got a metallurgical engineering degree from the Indian Institute of Technology. Then he got his MS from Stanford and his MBA from the University of Pennsylvania. He started working at Google in 2004 as a material engineer, where he led product management and innovation for Google Chrome. There he oversaw important developments such as Gmail, Google Maps, and Android, which led him to rising even higher in the ranks. And in 2019, he became the CEO of Alphabet Incorporated. He's known for being even-tempered, empathetic, and thoughtful in his role as CEO. He received a 96% approval rating from his employees, which is incredibly high. He's known for speaking very little in meetings and allowing others to speak, contributing only after others have said their piece. So there you have it, the 10 highest paid CEOs. What do you think? Are they a bit overpaid, or do you think they should be making more? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for top quick peek.